And every account we've looked at and we've been discussing, they all vary and they all have their own spin on it. But having worked in criminal investigations, we know ourselves that even eyewitness accounts vary tremendously, and people will swear blind that they saw something.
Yes, and I've always started with the thought that there's one truth, but many versions. So there was one Béal na mBláth, but many accounts. And you speak of differences. If ever I've had to look at a situation and I don't find differences, that makes me more uneasy than the ones that are reported. And then there's, particularly in relation to the Civil War, phase one was, if you like, the open field, the urban fighting. Then we had the guerrilla war, and then you had the military committees, the firing squads and the assassinations, and the bitterness that lingered. And it's hard to expunge that bitterness. So there was a silence for a long time, decades later, and people are returning to it then.
The way we remember stories is we repeat them to ourselves and we repeat them to other people, and they become ingrained. So you might have started out with one version of things, and it gradually changes. So you have to, historians, I think, you probably agree with it, you have to treat this material with a certain amount of caution, and you have to try and look for where the accounts converge, the similarities, where people, even if they have different versions of exactly what happened, they might agree on some of the details.
You have to create, I suppose, a tapestry of all the documents together in order then to read across them, as David was saying, to get to maybe closer to a truth or the truth or some kind of objective.
I think it's important as well to remember with things like Béal na mBláth that the combat and the emotional stress that everyone is under is affecting their testimony as well. I mean, we see that with Battlefield's testimony from memoirs written way back in the 19th century all the way through, that there is always an effort to place order on something that has no order. Yeah. Like, these are people who are spending half of this engagement face down into a ditch, worried that they're going to get shot. And afterwards, they're constructing a kind of A, B, C, D narrative that isn't actually how things happen at all, but it's how they have to communicate this to us.